Hi, so we're going to do some validating today and then debugging on that. And so I've opened up my assignment 8 starter, which is actually just the finished assignment from unit 7. And I can now copy and paste my HTML from the text editor into this validator and choose text field, or I can choose file upload, which probably makes a little bit more sense in this case. And I'm going to choose just the file. You don't try to do the whole folder, just the HTML file, and open it. And I also like to do show source, and I'll show you what that means in just a little bit. So I validate it. I've done this before, so I expected these 4 errors. These top 3 errors are saying that I can't have an A element inside a button element. Okay. So I'll have to figure out how to fix that. Again, I knew that these were coming. So I have already found how to fix them. It turns out that you can't, in fact, have an anchor inside a button, and I don't need to have an anchor inside a button because instead I can style an anchor to look like a button. So right now it doesn't because I haven't refreshed it. Let's try again. Right now it looks like that with the buttons that I've styled as I liked them in CSS back in units 6 and 7. I would have done my CSS work, but now I'm looking at it. I can't style them like that, but I have found in W3 Schools some information to help me style just my anchors like buttons instead of using them as or having them as buttons. So I can go over to my text editor and fix that right away. So let's get rid of the button part of all 3 of those lines and just have the anchor. So right now it's not going to look like buttons because I'm not changing my my CSS yet, but I will need to be sure to do that. So any CSS that I have created that refers to this button, I'm going to have to get rid of and then restyle the anchor to look like I want. So now I've saved that, and I can even right now choose my file again and validate again, and now it only gives me 1 error. I've already fixed one of my errors. Oh, and by the way, that other page that we just left there, that's the first screenshot that you should have taken so that we can, so that you can turn it in. That's the HTML before screenshot that you should have. But while I'm doing this, I made changes in my HTML, so I should come look at it in the browser. And in fact, family, work, and interests are still there. They will still work as links because that's what they're supposed to be. That's what they're supposed to do. They're not styled the same, but I can go back and work on the CSS kind of on my own time there. But I will go ahead, and before I continue on, I will go ahead and go back to the site.css and remind myself that I need to get rid of anything that refers to the button. And down here referred to the button. I think I had something, yeah, button hover down here too. So I'm going to get rid of those. And then I know that I have to go back and do some restyling, but at this point there was no need to have that. So that's that. I also, of course, could have commented those out so that I could always refer back to them when I'm restyling. But I don't actually care what it looks like, so I'm okay with just starting from scratch a little bit. Okay, so now I'll go back to my validator because I fixed that error completely, both in the HTML and the CSS. And now I'll see that this error says no P element in scope, but a P end tag seen. Okay. If I click on where it says this is, it will take me down in the source code to the error itself. Of course, I also could just scroll down there and find line 87, and see that I have this P. Now, at the same time, I happen to notice that these are capital P's and those are not supposed to be capital P's. So even though it's not technically an error, it's still something that I should fix. So I'm going to go back and fix that. That started on line 89. And nope, sorry, line 88. And I'm going to go ahead and change those to lowercase p's. I don't even know why I did that. So certainly a developer error there. Okay, and on line 87, it looks like this in fact does correspond with that P. And even if I couldn't see that, I could come over to my text editor and highlight that P, and it shows up above, at least in VS Code, it will show where the opening P is for that. Then it and that it does in fact work. It also shows me over here on the right. Have you noticed that in VS Code that I've selected this bottom P tag and it shows me where the closing P tag or the opening P tag was? So it looks like there's actually no need for me to have this figure inside the paragraph. So I'm going to get rid of that and do that. Let's try that again. Okay, I didn't really want that extra line there. I didn't have any need for it. And save there. I'm going to fix my indentation back though. That didn't need to be indented. And that looks pretty good. All right, and I'll save that. Look in my browser again. Go down to the bottom. Yeah, that figure still looks fine. That paragraph looks fine. And I bet now when we rerun this, choose my file again, and revalidate it, it will say the document is valid. And that should be your second screenshot of where you have this, green box around it saying everything is fixed.